Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of our Project Breakdown series. In this video, we're going to be going through some of the decisions that were made while filming and editing the Acesso brand video. We'll cover framing and lens choice, lighting, camera movement, and audio. Acesso is a CBD wellness supplement company. One of the main goals of this project was to bring the viewer into the video and make it possible for them to imagine themselves using the product. So the first thing that you'll notice is I generally used a lot of wide to normal length lenses, primarily in the 24 to 35 millimeter range, as this is the focal length that most closely resembles how the human eye sees. Further to this, we used several POV shots to really amplify this effect. I did use some longer lenses at key sections of the video to break up the wide shots and add some visual interest. You'll notice this very first shot was with the 50mm. I chose to use a longer lens for this first shot because I wanted to very clearly show the audience what this video was about, Acesso. Then it's quickly followed by a wide establishing shot to give context, and then we get into a POV to bring the audience into the video. Then we cut to a close-up reaction shot on an 85mm to help the audience relate to this person, followed by another two wide shots, and then a POV shot. You'll notice there's a pattern here. Setting the scenes with these wide shots, and then reserving the close-up angles mainly for product shots and reaction shots, so that we're clearly showing that the main takeaways are the product and how you feel when you use the product. I really like the framing of this shot because we've been following the action so much that it's nice to change it up with something like this where we start with a mostly empty frame and then we have the action enter into it. Alright, let's move on to these next scenes. These shots were all filmed in Colorado by one of our Colorado native shooters, Adam, which is part of the reason that we had to figure out a lot of these lens and framing decisions beforehand so that everything would cut together smoothly. So you'll see here again a series of POV and wide shots to bring the audience into the video and showcase the beautiful surroundings. And then we land on a close-up of the product and a close-up of the reaction. For the other POV shots, we used a Ronin with the 24mm lens or a 14mm lens. But these skiing shots were all done with the GoPro just to make things easier logistically. Alright, let's move on to the next scene. Now you'll see here is a close-up that is not a product shot or a reaction shot. We made an exception for this shot because it establishes that someone is running, but the compression of the longer lens gives the shot a little extra energy that you wouldn't be able to achieve with a wide lens. For this shot of her running towards the camera, we actually switched over to a 14mm lens. That's because we knew that we were going to be dollying towards her, and the dolly effect is amplified on wider lenses, which enabled us to not have to run as fast. Then we have a series of tighter shots, and I really like these product shots here. We were able to stay a little wider on this one because we used an over the shoulder to have a frame within the frame to draw attention to that product. And then to tie everything together, we have this little montage of medium shots of each actor front on, kind of signifying that no matter who you relate to the most, this product will work for you. There was also a different set of brand colors that we worked into each scene. Blue for the Calm product line, green for the Soothe products, and orange for the Wellness product line. Picking the right locations was essential for this, but there was also a lot that could be done with the lighting. Let's start with the yoga scenes. This room had some great windows, but the room itself was actually very dark. Since a lot of our framing was going to be very wide, we knew that we were going to have to blow out the windows. Partly because we didn't have enough light to get exposure to match, but also because the background was mostly run-down buildings and power lines. So we decided to just blow out the windows and expose for the brightness of the room. So even though we wanted to keep the overall exposure very bright, I still wanted some contrast in the image and wanted the windows to be very present. So we pushed the highlights to be more of this cyan color to match with their branding by setting our camera's color temperature to 4300 Kelvin. And we also set our lights to 4300 Kelvin to maintain proper skin tone color. So we were able to get a little contrast in color by making the windows more cyan and then keeping the skin tones more tungsten. So in this shot, the key light was actually just the window light, and that's what's causing this bluish light on her. And then we had an Astra 6x shooting up into the ceiling to lift the overall exposure in the rest of the room. And then we used a Falcon Eyes with some diffusion just off camera, kind of camera right, just to try and fill in some of the shadows here. I like this look because it's very high key and bright, but you still get some visual interest and contrast by mixing the two color temperatures. I just wish we had some more powerful lighting for some of these shots. You can clearly see how the wide shot seems a little underexposed on the subject compared to some of the closer angles where we were able to cheat the lights in a bit. And for these product shots, we just backlit with the windows and added some fill onto these products. You can see from these shadows here, we had another light kind of back and to the right here. And the rest of the shoot was all outdoors, and we didn't have any other lighting except for a bounce. Luckily in Colorado, the snow acted as a huge bounce, so everything looked nice and bright. And the snow also helped play a role into the green and white branding that they have for the Soothe product line. And for the wellness scenes, we knew that we wanted to film close to the end of the day to give everything a red and orange hue. This also enabled us to shoot into the light, reducing unwanted shadows on the subject. These shots we did first, you can see it's a little brighter outside. And still, she's completely in shadow. It was low enough to just give her this little rim light. And you can see once we got up the mountain, it was a little later in the day, sun was a little lower. So most of these shots are all a bit before magic hour and are a bit brighter, but there's a nice window of 10 to 20 minutes just before the sun sets where you get this fantastic orange glow everywhere. So we made sure to plan the product shots for that time to really make them special, since those were the most important shots of the piece. And the other benefit of shooting when there's low light is you're able to get these nice little lens flares, where we just have the sun is just outside of the frame right here, really kind of silhouetting everything, but giving really everything a nice even tone. You'll see there's not much contrast in this image, maybe a little bit of light making that a little bit brighter than the rest, but overall this is very neutral. And then on this shot, we decided to just put her fully in silhouette, and we kind of have this nice glow happening here on the water bottle. And this last shot was actually done after the sun gone behind the mountains, so the sky was still lit up nicely, but it worked well as kind of an end cap for the video. So it kind of signified that the day was over, and so is the video. If you were to look at the storyboards of this video, you'll see that the initial plan was to do a lot of match cuts and continuous movement to drive the story forward. But once we got into the editing room, we decided that it would be more cohesive to keep each scene intact. But it was still important that we had similarly framed shots for each scene to keep everything consistent. And the camera movement still played a big role in moving the story along. So overall, this video had a lot of camera movement in it because we wanted to keep the video engaging and give off a feeling of momentum. So even the static shots that could have been done on a tripod were done handheld or with a shoulder rig. We wanted another common theme with this video to be moving forward. Even in this first static shot, the actress is moving forward in the frame, leading you into the next room. This is followed by a quick dolly in on the subject, match cutting to another dolly in on the yoga mat unrolling. This all serves the purpose of moving the story forward. Now, these next shots we used a parallax camera movement, where the camera moves side to side and it pans to keep the subject in the same part of the frame. This, along with the framing, provides a nice contrast from the higher energy shots. It's more of a soothing feeling to it. And then we're back to following the action with these next hero shots. Whenever you're filming a product, you should always have a clear hero shot that can show the branding and how the product is used. So with this tilt down, you accomplish two things. You show how the product is used, and you show some branding here. So you have this nice static break from the action to focus on the product, and then we're back to moving forward in this next shot. Then we did a semicircle around the skier here to signify that this is now the main character that we'll be following. Then we cut into this great shot of us dollying forward with the character down the hill. signifying that we'll be going with him on this journey. In the next 2 shots, we're traveling with him, and then you'll see we switch to a static shot, giving the viewer a cue to start paying attention to the actions themselves. And then that's where we come in with the hero shots again. And then again, we're moving forward with the subject in the next shot, moving the story along, introducing a new environment. Then we have a quick dolly in to show what our subject is seeing as she runs. And then we match cut to another quick dolly in on the subject, and this makes it appear like she's running at the camera much faster when we're both moving. And this is just another tracking shot that we used as a reveal to this view, as if we're getting to this mountaintop along with our actor here. And then we're back into these series of parallax hero shots of the product, really moving the camera in a way that keeps the product as the focal point. If you found this helpful, please let us know in the comments, and thanks for watching.